Hi, I'm Anukta Mukherjee Ghosh, mother to a teenage daughter. After having spent 15 successful years, first with ITC Hotels, then with the multinational real estate giant, I decided to hang my boots and explore my creative side instead.
So thank you for having me here and asking me this. It's interesting when I go back and look back into my avatar. I'm an artist now, as you see me, but I led a completely different life. As I told you also, that I had a corporate job. I was with the hospitality industry and then with the real estate for a very, very long time. And my world was all about Excel files and administration and firing people and generally managing the place. Uh, and amidst all that, I began to find my innate passion that was always there with me, and I wanted to go back. I realized it's only one life and I want to do something, even though I was very happy with my job and it was giving me a lot of returns, but I wanted to just leave all that, and I did that. And I took to some formal training in art from professional artists, as well as did a course with the London Art College, a diploma course, got a distinction, and then took to painting full time. So that has been my journey, and it's been a very fascinating journey.
I've seen a lot of your works, and one of the reasons why I also connected with you was because I see a lot of cultural impact that your works leave on people, which is why we're also showcasing your work at the exhibition. So, if you could just quickly tell us a little about those little influences and how important is it for you to narrate these stories as well?
Yes. What drives me is I like to paint contemporary realistic art and like to keep my art as close to what I see. So for me, it again goes back to my corporate days when life only meant work that was at hand. It wasn't about seeing what's happening in rural India or what's happening even in the chai wala next door. We didn't have time for any of that, neither the interest or fascination for it. And ever since I took to art, I realized that these things are so fascinating. I mean, it's the mundane things, which it doesn't have to be a beautiful scenery in Paris or any other place which I need to paint. It could be something as simple as some women in a bullock cart or in some sort of a vehicle, or people in a rickshaw, which actually we see every day all the time. I mean, but the minute I put it down on paper, whether with a pen, watercolor, or acrylic, something magical happens. I mean, and I am able to then highlight India, showcase India to the world at large, and that's always been the root of my works, and that's what I enjoy.
Just as an artist, I work with artists with different backgrounds. There are artists who've studied art, full-fledged fine art, went through the proper schooling and training and everything. But then there's a category of self-taught artists, and there's a category in between where you give up whatever you were doing or put that on the back burner and discover new path for yourself, where you are doing these diplomas, you're educating yourself, for instance, we did a consultation with you. So you go to such resources, you try educating yourself. How hard is it for you to be able to break free from that and get your work not just noticed, but even in the eyes of the audience? As an artist, I'm pretty sure, and I know this was the major concern we discussed about, but it's nice, it's slightly interesting for other artists to also know that they're also in the same boat as you when it comes to facing certain obstacles.
Yeah. So, what I decided when I took to art is that the kind of person that I am, whatever I do, it has to be full-fledged. I mean, I realized pretty early on, I mean, a lot of people who take to art, and then my contemporaries who took to art, but probably continued with whatever it is that they were doing, and also took to art as something which they did on the weekend or as and when they got time. But I realized that that's not how I can actually do justice to either. So, because art is not just the hours you put on the canvas or the paper and a whole lot of practice, but it's also about your thought process, because my thought process over the years have gone a paradigm shift ever since I shifted from that world to the world of art. And I realized I needed that time, that transition. I needed that time because it's something which you can't people can teach you the technicalities. I can learn the technical aspects of it, but the thought process and, to get that magic in art is not something you have to feel it and you have to really imbibe it. So in that sense, for me, it was that leaving my job was the only way I could do justice to art full time. And yes, it has been very difficult because what happens is that apart from the technical thing, which I was fortunate to have learned well and picked up well because I love art. So for me, it comes naturally, you know. It's something which I've loved from my childhood. So that's something very important. You have to, it can't be something which you just feel like doing just for the sake of it. And also because I had left my job, I wanted to make my art count. It couldn't just be for nothing.
Yeah, something you do
So
to keep yourself busy, but a medium of expression and a visual aid for
yeah,
people to know what's going
yes.
on in your mind.
Correct, correct. But also apart from the practice and the the technical aspects of it and the constant practice that one must continue to do, I mean, in this field, what is difficult is also the network. What happens is, I felt that when you're from an art college at a young age, then you do have a organic network of people, your professors, your batchmates, and the group thing really helps them in sort of going for different exhibitions, participating together and things like that. It kind of happens in a flow because you've already passed out from an art college. You know the ropes. Although you do find out things individually, you do branch out, but still, for an artist otherwise, I mean, who has had to do it on her own or his own, it is that much more difficult to find your footing as to where you want to go to even begin with. I mean, I remember, I mean, I was painting fine, but to even know which exhibition was better than the other and
Yeah.
things like that was a big it's a hit and miss kind of a case initially, and it
Also,
really you have to find, and
I
you have to be dynamic to understand it yourself. No one to help you in that
was
field
able
going.
to just identify those the right opportunity for yourself and whether or not you're headed on the
Because
right.
painting is one. Painting you do with passion and all of that. But to project it to the world outside is a totally different ball game. And for that, unless there is no ready-made network of people for people like me who start at a different juncture in their lives. So you've got to really find your footing and foothold, navigate it on your own and sort of things.
And I
And that's
think
where I
that
think people
Yeah, and I
would
think that's
come
the
into it.
problem that connects all the artists in the world together because the reason why we also started the project is because there were artists we're working with who we represent, and we they come with that certain experience, exhibitions, portfolio, resume. But I've also worked with you, for example, or artists like yourselves, where we've identified this is a core problem, and it doesn't matter where you're located. It's just a sense of community. Art as an industry is like that, where certain networking connections, the right people, are very important to even go to hit the smallest milestone in your career that way. So because I've had a lot of Indian artists have these conversations with me, so I'm asking you as well, you exploring global opportunities, especially, for example, you're trying to do something outside in India, is because the gallery scene in India is extremely rigid, or is it just for some global exposure?
It's a bit of both. I do feel the gallery scene in India is very rigid, and I've asked the galleries as to why. I mean, that's a different conversation altogether. Why are they so
Well,
rigid with certain?
we can spend days talking about it.
Yeah, but it is also to explore how my art would be perceived in the international arena, and also I feel the West has traditionally been exposed to art a lot more, and they I feel they value art a lot. So for them, an artist has a lot of sort of value in terms of a place in society, uh, and
I
and
think it's also
people are more.
about the fact that galleries specifically, because I work with galleries in India and abroad. So when I'm trying to introduce my artist to them, or I try and say, okay, I've been monitoring an artist's progress. And when I send this portfolio with all the relevant paperwork and everything to a gallery abroad, we get onto a call, we discuss the future of the artist, how can they be involved, yes or no. It's a process. For in India, for example, for us, it's been difficult to even have a decent, productive conversation because it is extremely I don't know, I don't even have a word for it, but it's depressing, because I would love good artists in India to be represented by Indian galleries in India and abroad. But it's sad that
It
how
makes our work so much easier.
correct.
If
Correct. And not just easier, it's good for decent galleries to represent artists, more artists than they have been, or at least progress in some way. I've seen a huge
oh,
stagnation in gallery growth in India in the last 8, 9 years. And I hope they open doors for
I
refresh.
think they want to play it very safe, because I feel for the galleries it's more like a business venture, and they want to play it very safe, and they just don't want to experiment with new artists.
Yeah. I think
Somehow they just
they're
want to
being,
experiment with certain names.
yeah,
They want to just keep
that
certain
whole
names so that they
mindset.
know that.
Yeah, which is why projects like ourselves, we're trying to bring that change in methodology, ideology, which is why that whole resistance to change is what we're facing as well. So I guess
I'm sure you must be. Yes, yes, yes.
hopefully,
And
and
any decent artist worth her salt wants that kind of an exposure, at least to showcase the work. And then it's a different ball game where it goes and what life it has, the art works. But yeah.
okay, last question, but it's important for us to know, because it'll help us as a project to know which direction to take. And most of our projects or programs are the outcome of what you share as insights and as feedback. So just the fact that you and I, for example, have been in contact for a few months, and we did a consultation, and now you're part of this exhibition, which is not it's not amazing, or it's not a huge milestone, but it'll be interesting for our audience to know your association with us, and just your feedback, and how do you feel about the whole relationship.
So, Sunaina, I think it's been great so far, and I look forward to actually interacting more and sort of associating better to see where how this can be taken forward and things like that. So, I mean, and I think you're doing a great job, Artist Culture. So, yeah, I mean, like it's been great so far. Yes, and I hope to see more of such happening in physical platform as well as in the in
Oh,
even as a consultant. Yeah,
just when we had a
definitely.
small
Yeah.
just when we had a small window between the first wave of COVID and the second wave, when we were planning on doing a lot.
Or is it?
So yeah,
Yes,
I understand. And so we will always.
because you do come with your own expertise of how to a lot about the art knowledge, and so that would be very helpful in organizing it in a slightly different way as well as for the artists. Yes, so look forward to that from your end.
And as an artist, I'm sorry I'm going on. It's just very interesting for me to know about a little about your practice. Just as an artist, when you're talking about these stories and your observations through your art, is it something too personal that you're sharing with your audiences, or it's something that you're so fascinated with these stories, these observations, that you don't care, you really want everybody to see? Or because
Yeah, of course. I mean,
mixed.
I like to connect with people. I mean, there was so it could be personal to me, but somebody else relating to it is a big high actually. You know.
I think that's a nice, very good example of how a work created by an artist and being used by another artist, another person in a completely different
Apart,
country,
yeah, far apart with a different
completely
culture.
different
Yeah,
discipline.
but
And just for your work to trigger something in them, when they're miles apart, cultures apart, was beautiful. So yes, congratulations,
I really
and yeah, thank you so much.